Hey, how you doing? This is Chris again. Okay, so in the last part we created the buttresses. In this part we're going to start by going into the actual building itself. Well, buttresses are part of the building, but we're going to create this part here. These aren't really like buttresses. These are more like wainscoting, but they're more ornamental than anything really, to be quite honest, I suspect. They give the building a kind of look of being prefabricated and slotted together though, which is cool because that's kind of what we're going for. Alright, so I'm going to start off with the bunker here, and I'm just going to drop down to the edible poly level and just click and show end result. What I want to do is take these parts, just press F3 so I can see how large they are, okay, and I'm going to basically pull it out, or isolate it, or clone it, or whatever. So if I just detach as a clone, and this will be called prefabricated bunker window wall 01, because that's what it is. Okay, now if I take my prefabricated bunker wall window area thing and go to my layers, and I'm going to create a new layer with this in called walls. Okay, shut that down. Now I can hide off the other part that I'm not using, so away it goes. And I can hide the buttresses as well if I want and just work on this. I think I would prefer to have some of the buttresses visible, if not all, just while I'm starting. And this will enable me to basically start trimming this down and get rid of parts I don't need. Backspace. Which isn't to say I don't need that piece, however, there we go. And now I'm going to cut this straight down. It makes it a little bit easier for me doing it this way. Okay. I can just zoom in on this. Now we can see how straight, or rather not straight, this is. And we can also see where our previous little friends are and just backspace them away. There's also one there. I just pressed F3 to make that see-through, just in case you didn't see it at the top there. See? It's interesting, my key viewer works and doesn't work randomly, depending on how it's feeling. It's very, very, very... what's the word I'm looking for? Temperamental? Yes. Just going to straighten this edge out a little bit. Give myself a good place to start from, There we are. And is this still extending out the buttresses? No, this is the right file name. That's good. I thought I'd not saved it for a moment. Okay, now the window itself is going to go here, and then above it we're going to have various bits and bobs, and then we've got this part at the top here as well. So if I swift loop this first just here, this will give me the kind of, not balustrade, but the rim that I'm going to need at the top. Next, I need ideally to go straight down here for the creation of the actual window piece. So go down here and just click connect. That'll give me this here. Now, it's a bit too far to the right really for what I need. So if I click the actual settings button and get my caddy, you'll notice I've got these options here for pinch and slide. And I'm just going to slide it a bit this way. There we go. Now what I can do is chamfer this. If I chamfer it to about there, you'll notice these aren't straight, but we're going to straighten them using the same methods as we had before. Now obviously something you have to watch out for, don't know if you noticed it or not, is that these then immediately went bonky. So we have to fix these. Okay. So what I could choose to do is literally just have it, if I deselect here, and then you'll notice that when I straighten these, it won't make the top bonky anymore. And then I can cut new edges should I so desire. Alright, hopefully that's making some sense to you. I know it's sometimes a bit hard to understand, and we do move a bit fast sometimes. Okay, now the bottom of the window is going to go across, if I just find my Swift loop, kind of across this edge here, yeah? Now, obviously, like I've said, it's a bit bonky. We can straighten it out, so don't worry. So I'm going to just put that there, go straight into selection mode, and just flatten it. Okay, that way it's in the right place. Now, the actual shape of the window itself, what I'm going to do is go from here down to here, just do another connect. Well, hang on, I need to do a quick ring select first, and then a connect. Okay, and that'll give me that. And I'm going to get rid of these edges for the moment, because I can put them back in, and they're a bit messy at the moment. Okay. Now for this shape here. Actually, no, I'm going to straighten these up. You see how easy it is to get distracted, but I hate when they leave messes like this. Straighten it up, and just here. It'll make the big difference later, okay? Straighten this one as well. You can actually use the tape measure tool, which I know not many people use unless you're using, you know, serious architecture or serious design and stuff. But the tape measure tool comes in fantastically useful just for drawing a straight line to work your edge against. That made me sound incredibly professional, didn't it? Okay, now, as you can see, these edges are not equal at all. Ugh, damned thing. I think what I'm going to do is pull out these verts. My guess is I've got slide on, which I didn't really want at the moment. And do connect, and just change my slide to 0. And I'll put it exactly in the middle again. Then I can just attach these parts up later. Now, we need to get the shape of this fairly quickly, because obviously we want this to be the shape of our arch. So, arches can be a bit of a nuisance sometimes as well. So I'm going to manually cut the arch in. I'll just leave that one there. And go straight into vert mode. Let's pull this down until these two are aligned more or less. There we go. Now I can pull them back and create this pointed shape here, like so, which is what we need. And then I can bring this to there, and this to here. It's always difficult when you're doing complex shapes, and it always does take a little bit of getting used to. But don't worry, we'll get there. It won't take too long, I promise. Right, inside this as well, we're going to have to do the same thing again shortly, so just to really cheer you up a bit. Okay, next we need to bring this out a little bit. So if I go here and here, this is going to become our window. And it's actually broken into two parts. You've got like the sill down here and the side parts up here. So I'm going to extrude it just a little, like that. And this will give me the ability now to soften these edges, which is what I need. I don't need to soften the top because it's a pointed arch, but I do need to do this, which will give me this shape here. And then I'm going to go straight in here and do a quick connect, and here and do a quick connect, and then I can cut there and there. Alright, now I'm going to go into my layers tool because we've got the shape I need, and I'm going to hide the buttresses because they're in my way. Alright, now we've got this shape here. Could probably do with a little bit of curving out along the tops here, so that's okay because some brick comes through here, so I can take advantage of that. I just use the connect tool. Now the problem with this is, if you look, if I now use the connect tool like that, it's going to make our model into a little bit of a mess. It doesn't matter here because we have symmetry, but another option would be, rather to use that, we could literally select this row of polygons here and use the, and I love this tool a bit, where's it gone? I always forget where I put this darn thing. Here we are, slice plane. Now you'll see here, we can move this as well, which is pretty cool. So we find where we want to be just here, and then just mash, slice, turn it off. And now, this is in exactly the right place for what we need. So I can just grab here. Now I can't do both of these simultaneously, simply because there's verts that you can't see behind here, and so if I grab these middle ones and try and scale it out, it won't scale out the verts behind these. That one needs to be brought in just a little bit more. Intimate the curve rather than actually build the curve. Okay, so we've got this shape now, just there like so. We've got to be careful of these parts here, because as they come in, we don't want these to all intercollide with each other. Now, down here as well, I've got to create a piece, so let's go straight into here. And I'm going to do an inset rather than a bevel and inset, and bring that into round about there. Next I'm going to go into bevel mode, and I don't want to use too many bevels here, this is important. Just double click if you're not actually bringing it in any. Okay, and that brings it into there like that, which gives us this shape. Now down here, where you can see these parts, I actually want to flatten these parts out, so, which I know seems a bit strange, however, bear with me. So I'm going to just flatten these ones. Again, this is why I like this tool, and this will allow me in just a moment to actually build the sill out from here. So I'm just going to use the Alt key rather when selecting to deselect each layer one at a time, and then I can control this. I think you can see what I'm doing, at least I hope you can. And then I can just run this lip here just up a teeny bit like that. Okay, and I think I'll bring these down a bit because they don't quite look level yet. There we are. That is fine. Now, underside here, I wanted to bring this out a little bit on this part. So, what I'm going to do is grab here and here, and I'm going to do a minor inset. And this will allow me some control here and here. And I'm just going to scale these edges in. like so. And this means that I can now have this lip here work. And then down like that. Alright, and I think I'll pull these in just a little bit, just here. Thankfully, years of being forced to endure modern and ancient ecclesiastical architecture has allowed me to be able to spot certain designs, and whilst this isn't by any stretch of the imagination a classical ecclesiastical architecture piece, it'll do. Now then, I'm not happy with how thin these parts are, but I can increase the size of them by literally extruding outwards along the edges, which will actually give me slightly more control anyway, and make it look like the rock's slightly more embedded. So let's have a look. What I'll show you is this. Don't worry if you don't understand what I'm doing. I'm going to show you. Basically, I've made this too thin, right? And we've came too far along the way to go back and make it fat again. You can't just grab the inside parts, because we've got this bottom part here and we've already done our beveling. Now, I can't scale it out like this, because if I do, well, it's going to look like clown cake. Alright? So, an option is to extrude it. And we should always extrude by local normal. Okay, so if I extrude it out along these lines here, the only thing I'm going to have to remember to do is rebuild the inside geometry that connects to these in the first place, which isn't any particular hardship when it comes down to it. Capiche? Oh yeah, and obviously not increasing the height too much. There you go, you see? And really that's kind of all you'd have to do. I can delete these inside edges anyway. So it's entirely up to you which method you want to use for that. In my method, like I say, I'm going to keep this outer piece here. Now this inner piece here, which I can loop, I can then backspace and delete, and that'll get rid of all the internal vert structures. I can straighten this piece in just a moment. First, let's get rid of the bits that I'm going to have to remodel. I always quite like doing things this way actually, because it means that you get to really mess around with your model and enjoy it. Okay, and I'm going to spin round, just make sure there's nothing at the back. See, these need to go. Not necessarily that one, this one though. And this one. And that one. Alright, now I'm going to have to get rid of this edge here, so if I just do a quick loop and just delete it. There we go. Just like so. Now then, this part here doesn't connect to anything yet, so we'll have to connect it to something. So I'm just going to go straight through here, do a connect, slide it along. And yes, I could have done an edge loop, should I prefer. Do another one here. Sorry, swift loop, not edge loop. Okay, and I'll do a target weld. And another target weld. Well, evidently I'm not going to do a target weld because it doesn't want me to. Is there? Oh, look. There's some more here. Didn't quite get rid of all of them, did you? Okay, so let's loop those and just... No. Yes. And these ones. There. Make sure they're all gone, all to the very tippy top. Spin round. Like I say, you can see that this is a way more complicated piece to build, however. target weld there. Alright, I don't actually need this edge here at the moment. When it comes to cleanup time, I'll just get rid of these. There we are. Now we can see where the edge of my piece is supposed to be, thankfully. And we can see where this is supposed to come down to, thanks to this angle here. So, let's first of all grab these edges. There we are. And I'm going to bring them out. And just flatten them. Now I'm going to bring them back in again. Until my bounding box stops moving. You see that? My bounding box stops moving about there. Now here, I'm going to grab this. Bring it down to about here. Now you can see how long it's supposed to be. And it's also intersecting into the top of this, so we're going to have to just move it up just a little bit. Not too much, just a little. Same goes with this. In fact, we don't even need this piece now I think about it. And we can use this one. So what I'm going to do is use this to denote the angle for the roof. Like so, and just bring that to where my bounding box begins to wobble about, which is there. Okay, now I can delete this part for the moment and this part for the moment. Next, I'm going to break this part up. So I'm going to put a few connects in, maybe about 3. And that will enable me to go into my bridge tool and do this. Darn clever business. Okay, and then down here. Now then, this one I'm obviously going to need to break in half, so I'll just do a single segment connect. If you're wondering what that horrible crunching sound is, that's actually my neck crickling. It's an awful sound. Okay, again back to bridge. Now I'm going to straighten this out because it's too bloody wonky again. There's no reason to have it if you don't need to. And now I can start straightening out some of these edges. Okay, and in here I need to put 3 segments. So if you look, it only allowed me to select half, which means there was already a vert in there. Get rid of that. And now I can do it. And 3 segments. Actually, now I need 4, don't I? Yeesh. It's very easy if you're not careful. You've probably done this yourself. If you've ever done organic modelling, you'll know this. When you start doing this sort of thing. I've got too many. It was right the first time. Good sakes. Hang on. There, see, that was right. Yeah, if you've ever done organic modelling and you've tried your hand at an edge looping, you'll know you create millions of loops without realising it sometimes. And it's because, you know, you want to start putting detail in and it doesn't always go the way that you want it to, unfortunately. Let's start bridging these across. Okay, let's wonder why it's not letting us bridge it across unless there's a polygon in here. Are you a polygon? No, you're not. Why are you not letting me bridge you across? Sure, there's a reason. I think I just got the wrong one selected. Yeah, I had. I was selecting the front ones instead of the back. There we go. We can't straighten up these ones, incidentally, because if we do, then we're going to lose our definition over here. Okay, now over here for the side. Bit of an important part, obviously. We need to grab these because they're not straight. And we need to make them straight. Okay, now I'm going to go into this window area again. Just here, because I want to embed another pair of windows inside this and then put some detail on these. Now I can either do it directly or I can do it kind of indirectly. So what I'm going to do is show you an easy way of doing this part. So shift and drag this part out and just clone it to an object. There you go. That way this is a separate thing that we're working on now. Now then, over the top of this I'm going to build a plane. So I just want it 1 by 1 segment, and I'm going to use auto grid, and I'm just going to draw it out like this. Okay, and just convert to editable polygon. Next I'm going to grab the edges and just do a connect there, and then I'm going to grab this edge and do probably another connect here, and then this edge here I'm just going to collapse it to a point. Alright, next bring this in, and grabbing these parts here, I'll extrude them inwards, not too much, just a little, like that, and then get rid of this piece here because it was only there for my guidance. Now then, on this one, select here and here, just do a quick ring, so I mean a quick loop, not a ring, and just chamfer them slightly, and that will give us that shape there, which is nice. Okay, and we can bring these back in now. Okay, because we want it fairly deep. And then, you know, churches that don't tend to have windows sometimes just have slats or things like this. So if we're looking at ecclesiastical builds, that's what they go for. And the same goes for kind of Gothic shapes and things. So let's build a kind of simple slat into this. Now the trick is with this that we don't actually want to create loads and loads and loads of slats. We just want to create a slat shape. So let's see what we can do. I'm just using this as a template, because like I say, this is quite a complicated little shape. And it's quite useful having something just to draw on. Should do it. Okay, next I want to create a spline line corner to corner, so initial type corner, jag type corner. And is this even near where the thing is? Oh right, I see what I'm doing. I should probably be at this angle instead. Okay, and let's see what we can do. Seems about the right size. I think I'll actually create it as a box rather than using this. So many different ways of creating the things. I can never really decide which one I prefer. The trick is, however, that we want to create it so that it's going to be big enough and not too low detail. Because if its detail level is too low, then people are going to look at it and go, ew, you know? And you don't want that. Alright, now we're going to tilt it over a little bit. Should do it. Plop it around about there. That's a good starting point. Okay, and I'm going to take off the back polygon. Do this now. It'll save you a lot of time later on. And then just bring it up. And let's just create far too many of them. If we create far too many, then we can always get rid of the ones we don't need. Keep that one. Okay, and that gives us this shape here. Now then, move this away for the moment. Because we have to attach all these to each other. Doesn't matter which order we do it in, really. It would matter a lot if this was splines. I would not be doing it this way. If you ever watched the Cutty Sark set that I created, you know, when you create the keel, you have to create splines, and you have to drag them out in a specific order, so that it will create the spline cage. And if you don't do it that way, then you're boned straight away. So there are times when you have to do it in order, but it doesn't matter so much with this bit. I've just got, you know, a few of these to do, unfortunately. Then I'm going to build a back for it, and it'll be done. You can see when it's worked, because obviously it sticks that edge in between them. Unfortunately, sometimes these things take a while. What we could do as well is, if you ever find you have to create like lots of things like this, what you can do is create the part you need, you know, and just create maybe a couple of slats, then clone the slats, and then connect the couple of slats to another couple of slats, and just keep doubling it that way. That's another way to do it, but obviously you have to make sure that you've got the spacing between them the same every time, otherwise it's going to look like a hobo house, and that's not going to be right. And that's definitely not what you want to be doing if you're doing something like an aeronautic fan for an aircraft or something like that. In that case, you probably want to use the array. And I don't actually have to add all these together, it's just, this is kind of a good exercise to show you. And it means that we've got, this is a single object rather than a myriad objects. There we go. So as you can see, that kind of adds all these together. And then we can just grab here and drag it out. And just flatten it. Push it back in. Just a little bit. And then cap it. Okay, and that gives us that shape, which we then push into here, like so. Now, if you think these are too small, we can actually, you know, take some of them off. So we could increase it, and that'll reduce our polygon count as well. So let's just see what it looks like if we make these a bit smaller, bigger rather. And as you see, the bigger they are actually, the better it looks. So, you know, go figure. Life's weird that way. So we'll just get rid of the ones we don't need. We don't need to do an X-form reset, incidentally, if you're wondering, because this was not, what do you call it, non-uniform scaling. This was uniform scaling. Massive difference. 3ds Max will actually store your vert details for uniform scaling. There you go, that fits nicely. Now what I'm going to do is just bring this edge in a little bit. So it links into there. What I could do is literally fit this into here, and I'll show you how we do that anyway. I'll just isolate it. And just bring this just back a little. Okay, and this will kind of show you the best way that we can do this, I suppose. So it started with the top. Just collapse that. And then we could start just bringing these verts in. Like so. I mean, as you can see, it's like a mess on. That's the polite term for it as well. However, you can do it this way. Okay, so eventually it'll all conform to the inside of your model. So if you want to do it that way, seriously, just go ahead. I'm not going to stop you. We just keep, there we go, exit isolation mode again. However, I really don't have time for this, unfortunately. Wish that I did. So what I'm going to do is just attach that onto there, and then I'm going to duplicate it twice. You notice I haven't even given it an exciting or interesting name. It's just two planes. I'll attach them together. Drop it in perspective. For those of you who are wondering, like, is there a difference between this and the Portal tutorial that shows you how to make the big door? Well, yeah. It's a completely different method of doing things. This is, you know, seriously. Okay, now we're going to push this in. Just until it starts to intersect, like so. Okay, I just want to see the edges of this popping through, like that. So this is fine detail there. Alright, now that we've got these sticking through, let's go back to our original model and get rid of some parts here and here. And now, as you can see, we can actually see our piece. So now I'm going to attach it like so, and this means now I can start bridging. Again, just if your bridge tool isn't working, just click out. There we go, and then we can use the interactive bridging tool. Be careful which parts you're trying to attach together as well. This is where being colourblind isn't particularly an advantage, because I don't always get to see which parts aren't attaching properly. Like it ever was a goddamn advantage. P.S. It isn't. I don't think that went in properly. No, it didn't. Try and do it back the other way, unless I've created a big super polygon shape. No, I haven't. It's okay, I'll just cap these off, because then I can repair them. 1, 2, cap. And that means I can check straight away and see if there's any errors in here that need to be fixed. And then down here, just cap that. Okay, now up here, that's a hole, so we'll fill that. Nice, okay. Now where this hole is at the moment, I want to really get rid of this part for the moment here. And get rid of this vert here. And that'll give me this shape. And then I can just grab this, do an inset. Just a little one. And I want to straighten these edges. But you're impressed if you've seen a lot of 3D palettes tutorials in the past. You'll be thinking, he hasn't used the hinge from edge tool yet. You don't always have to use the hinge from edge tool, you know. Although it is a good tool. Alright, now I'm going to extrude this. Just simply so I can make an ornamental piece. And if I just grab there and just do a quick ring, I'll just chamfer it. A little bit oval for my liking. I'm going to bring this in a bit. I can stop it being quite so oval just by scaling it, however. There we go. And I think I might actually move it up a little bit. Which I can do if I just take out this edge here. So just make sure it's grown, and then just, you know, move it up a bit like that. It's these little lines here that prevent me moving it as much as anything, and I can get rid of a lot of those just by doing this. And then if I do a convert to editable mesh or editable patch and then back to convert to editable poly again, it'll retriangulate the mesh for me, which is nice. Let's get rid of these. And now I can move that up to there. There we go. Okay, now we need to put our brick lines in, and obviously kind of our end cap as well. Sorry about that, I was just stretching. So, if we go back into our layers and unhide tools, here's our brick line. So as you can see, most of this is already conforming, so that's not really going to be a problem. I think I want to adjust my texture. It's not quite dark enough, and I'm not... I know for the rest of you guys it probably looks fine, but for me I need it fairly dark so I can see things properly. There we go. And let's just go to my front viewport, look at that. Okay. Now I want to select my polygon here, and yes, I do want to select these bits as well, and here. And I'm going to slice plane, just bring it down to this brick level here, and click, just slice, and again slice. Now I'm going to do the same thing, just turn off slice plane, and I'm just marquee grabbing. Whoa, that didn't sound fun. Is that my stomach making that noise? So I'm just, ooh, don't want to do that. Use the select tool rather than the select and move tool. That's quite important. Okay, and that gives us these pieces here. Next, slice plane, slice, again, think yeah, this line here I'm going to just bring down a bit and then bring it across. So let's get it here to about there. And then all I need to do really is just do a cut from here to try and make sure I'm getting it straight to there. Okay, that looks about fine. Now, again, same as before, we're going to be cutting our brick shapes into this. Right then. Don't worry about my 3ds Max doing cranky things. You can probably see it's doing it at the minute. It does, unfortunately. It's just the way it is. Anyway, back over here. I could do with doing a cut straight up. Because obviously these are big parts now, and right click out. Backspace, backspace. Let's get rid of parts I don't really need. It'll make things a little bit easier for me. Okay, and then go to verts, and just get rid of the verts we don't need either. Sometimes it can be a bit tricky discovering where they've gone. Okay, now I'm going to target weld. It's important to make sure you're target welding in the right direction. There we go, bring that over to there. Right. Just checking this piece out. I'm not going to bother putting the line all the way through that one. I will do these ones. Let's first of all start with this here. Before we do, I need to take this edge here. Let's just quickly check it. Make sure there's nothing wrong with it. No, it seems fine. Okay, and this will allow me to move this that way, because I only need a half. And I'm going to go to my layers tool, and I want to unhide this, just so I can see how far I need to bring it. There we go. Okay, that seems fine. Next, I want to go over these top parts here. And just extrude them. Now, as you can see, 3ds Max is being all comedy factor with this, but don't worry. Again, all we need to do is just scale it, and it'll come out straight. Okay, and on the inside here, so we're going to bring these in a bit. So, just like so. I think I've got the wrong part selected. Yeah, I have. There we are. That'll come out like so. Now I'm going to have to watch this piece, because if you look, these aren't actually straight. I'm going to have to fix that in just a moment. Unfortunately, it's something that tends to happen with these if you're not keeping an eye on it. It's because it's extruded this straight out rather than extruding it downwards. So you're going to have to decide, well, do I want it to come downwards or not? I think we probably should, which means just bringing that part down to there. And probably bringing this part in a little bit. Okay, let's go and straighten these out a little bit more. Check the rest of them. They seem okay. Now this one. And I'm going to map it back to round about there. That means I can just grab these bits and just bring them straight down. Not too much, just a little bit. Now I'll deselect this one and how far along should I bring them? Just a little bit perhaps. No, sod it, I'll just bring it all the way across. There we go. Again, moving it just until the bounding box starts to shift, which is there. And then I can just come in at this part, do a quick target weld, and then select here and do a quick loop. Should be able to do it at this side as well. Just try and get all the parts. Now if we look, we have this awful looking closed polygon here that I need to kill. That should enable me to just squish the side in like that. And drop back to polygon mode. There we are. Okay, so we now have this shape. Next, what I'm going to do is grab all these polygons and I'm going to do another slice plane. Now I can just flip this 90 degrees, which makes it somewhat easier to do this. And then at the side here, what I'll do is I'll do one and then I'll do another one, which obviously gives us a lot of polygons, but we need them for this bit because it's a large part. Alright, next. I'm going to select here, loop. Actually no, we're going to select here and loop. Okay, and you'll notice obviously it comes around both sides. Again here, 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 actually a bit lower, here, then here, there, there, and there. Okay, let's just loop and see what it does to our model. Actually, that's not too bad. Okay. Next, over here, got some brick shapes in while we have the opportunity. Because if we don't do it now, remember what I said about my middle mouse button, by the way, playing up, it really is. If we don't do it now, then we won't be able to do it later. Well, we will, but it'll be a pain. It really will. It'll be an absolute nuisance. I just accidentally scaled a piece there, I think. There we are. Just move it straight to select only. Do not hit loop or ring at this point, okay? Otherwise, you'll just end up selecting everything. All we're doing at the minute is breaking this down so it looks like it's made out of lots and lots of bricks. That's a good thing. I'll add one here. You'll notice it hasn't gone all the way across here, so I'll just fix it. Part of the reason is because there's a, what do you call it, a vert in here. I might be able to kill it. And come straight back. Yeah, good. Okay, don't want to put one across there. We'll have one here. Be careful it's not coming in too far. And we can separate our areas. This is like if you've done sci-fi sets with me in the past. You know, Maker's Marks, you probably pondered many times over like, why does he make me make Maker's Marks? And this is kind of the reason. Okay, now let's go back into this. And just do a extrude. Now, as you see, our model's finished. Isn't it lovely? No, I'm just joshing with you. There's no such thing as mistakes. There's only happy little accidents. Check out those edges, see how far in they run. Need a little bit of depth on these, to be honest. So there we go. Now the fact that this tip's been done, if I just select it now, because we don't actually want the tip done, it'll look a bit silly. Okay, that should do. Click tick. Now chamfer. I'll just bring this chamfered edge down just a teeny bit. Click tick. Then zoom out. And here we have it with its kind of paneling and junk. However, it's looking okay so far. Okay, now let's add the other parts in just to make sure it all still works. Manage layers. And we're going to just unhide our buttresses. And as you can see now, that does work. Now we're going to need to make a couple of copies of this. So obviously this is our prefabricated bunker window wall 01. So I'm going to need to make a mirror, unfortunately, which I didn't really want to have to do, but it's one of those things. So let's just go here, mirror, and just do it on the x-axis. Click OK. So obviously it's inverted. And if I just reset the x-form, collapse it, and then just convert to editable poly, flip the normals, and pull back. Now its pivot is, let's see where its pivot is anyway. Seems to be in a funny old place, but I think that's just from where I'd created it. So we'll send it to object, and I'll send this one to object. And then I can just bring that straight down. Just until the two parts literally marry in. Now you'll notice this is a little bit wider than it should be. We can either tweak it down or do that. It really doesn't matter too much. I mean, obviously if you have a precise measurement in mind, use your precise measurement. And now for this, I'm just going to rotate it 180 degrees. And then just spin it into the right place. Just trying to make sure, obviously, that everything is in the correct place here. Okay, and zoom out. It's one of the tools, isn't it? Let's hide our tools. Okay, and that gives us this shape here, which as you can see is coming along rather nicely. So what I'm going to do, because that's been an hour, because I told you this part was going to be quite difficult, in the next section we're going to work on some walls and doorways, and also some expanders. So until then, see you in the next bit.